How's it going? Solstice, summer solstice portal today. I was just cooking up some supper, and this intuitively came to me, and it's essentially my guides and guidance telling me to do a life review on camera, just so that you can kind of see what it is and do one for yourself. And there's no comparison required, etc. This isn't an ego thing. It's a new awareness of the journey that I just want to talk about quick. So if you sit here right now, you take a deep breath. I'm 52 years old. How did my life go? Most of my life, my first, what do we want to call it, 42 years of my life was pretty well living the fairy tale. Grew up, went to school, got a degree, got a really good job, met a wife, had some kids, had a house, had all the good stuff, and then kind of everything crashed down. The last 10 years has been waking up. I got to experience a pretty full human life. In hindsight, I can look back and I can say I was a good person through everything that I did. I was always, unfortunately now, and it's not unfortunately, but I was a pleaser. I always wanted to please the people around me, please my bosses. I climbed the corporate ladder very quickly and made good money and all those things. I also made the right decisions. I didn't get corrupt. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't intentionally harm, etc. And good morning, Andrea. Good morning. God bless you always. Thank you. And same to you. How was your life? Did you do the best that you could? Were you struggling sometimes and fell down on your face? I can count many where I fell on my face and didn't do well. My divorce is something I still look back on, and that was almost 10 years ago. That was the low point of my life, but at this point now I can look back at it and say it was the hardest choice I ever did, because my divorce was from love of myself and love of my partner, and I tried to make it as amicable as possible and easy and other things. Thought I hurt my kids. There's a whole bunch of societal shit that was in there, but if anything, it's polished and shaped and helped me find out who I was, as well as my ex-wife and even my kids. We went through a whole period where they blamed themselves and they thought that it was their fault, and we got to work through all those things over these last 10 years. And my children have polished, and they're just leaving high school, and I'm very proud and happy with that. Those things that were worst in society judged me badly of, and losing all my friends and family and all that kind of stuff, were terrified what I was doing and the choices I was making and the polishing of my life that was going on. And what I'm trying to do by this life review and talking about this is to get you to look at your life and say, okay, these are the things that I challenge myself, and these were my lows and these were my bads. There's a point in my life I weighed 265 pounds and I was very unhappy. I had huge back problems in university and other things which were real lows for me. I'd have to lay on the flat floor for 2 hours of my life after every day of school because the chairs were so awful, and I didn't find out that good posture and things were possible in the world. I also, after I almost met the first woman that I waited until I was 30 years old before I got married and had kids, because I was so confused. And after my marriage, I went on a spree of trying to date people, and what a mixed bag of things show up in people that have been divorced and have had a lot of wounds and other things. And I went through those. I can count. There was 3 significant relationships that lasted periods of 4 months or longer that I had in my life. And I look back at them all, and the first relationship was a very highly charged physical relationship, and it was beautiful. But there was so much undisclosed. The woman wouldn't tell me, but wanted a father for her kids and was basically giving me all this intimacy and other things to try and convince me that that I could be a father to her kids. But in the end, one day I was sitting, met our kids for the first time, and she breasted her youngest son up, and he asked me, "Can I call you Dad?" And I was like, ugh. I'd only known the woman for less than 3 months. And I said, "Hey, buddy," I said, "beautiful, but your dad's always going to be your dad. You can call me super cool guy or your best buddy, and that would be great." And the kid just smiled, and I could see the lady's face. Her just crashed. And I could see an undisclosed purpose, an undisclosed expectation. And it went and went and went, and we tried to dig it out and tried to figure it all out, and she would never admit it. And it meant the relationship fell apart because there was nothing to stand it on other than this expectation to fill a void. And that woman hated me afterwards. She wanted a restraining order and other things against me. And I wasn't angry. I wasn't mad. I just had to step away for loving reasons. The next woman, I don't even remember what it was. The last woman that I was with, it was an older woman, almost 15 years younger than me. And we got to a period where I was going through a lot of turmoil in my life, and I was getting into a house, and she was trying to negotiate having a suite in my basement, which I wasn't okay with because I was going through a really bad situation with a landlord at the time. And then her insecurity came up, and I can remember on 3 or 4 different occasions where her raw trauma came out at me because her little girl was angry. And I can remember her trying to slice and dice me with words, and I was just sitting there watching and just breathing, and I'm just coming back, and I'm like, when I heard this, I felt this. When I heard that, I felt that. Why are you doing these things? And she couldn't even explain why. So we just keep working through it. But after 3 or 4 times, I said, "I can't continue with you if you keep hurting me and there's no response or other things." It was very crazy. And eventually the agreement was that if it happened again, and it happened again right after, and I followed through with what I'm going to have to step away, and we're going to need some time apart because I can't handle this, and I'm in the middle of a move, and I can't deal with your drama right now. And tried to hold space, and that happened. And that woman cursed me and told every friend that she'd ever had how awful I was and made up stories about me. And I keep looking back, and I always look, and I saw that I walked in integrity. I walked my walk. I set clear boundaries that protected both of us, and people hated me for it. So now I'm in life review, and it's like, okay, were those failures, or were those me learning to set boundaries? Me learning how weak my boundaries were and how unclear I was about my intentions and my desires, and that at the same time I thought I set mine, but it wasn't being set on the other end, and I was looking past them just because I wanted to be loved and I needed a relationship and other things. So in life review now, I'm looking at it, it polished me. I look at it as polished me. I could have been angry. I could have told them to F off or whatever, but eventually I said, no, we're going to have to step apart, because if you're not willing to deal with your shit and you're not willing to talk about it, but just get angry at me, I can't deal with something that you won't even talk about. So I look back, and it was like, oh, look at all these relationship failures, and I must not be worthy, and I must be bad, or I must have done something wrong. And no matter how much it sucks, the universe showed me what I don't want, showed me what poor boundaries are, what expectations are, and how they show up in a relationship, and how they corrode and destroy. And it's been purifying me over and over. And I'll tell you, I want to vomit with the amount of shit I've went through in relationships. But having just went through another couple situations with women that wanted to be in a relationship with me, those same things showed up. But once again, it was like, hey, I'll hold space for this. I'll see if you can get through it. But the minute it's clear that you're not interested in the same thing, or you don't want to set an agreement with me to get through this stuff, I can't hold space for any of that. So I'm not here to fix anybody to make them my partner. I'm here to sense who's not working out and what's not going well, set some clear boundaries, have direct communication on it, and then find out if they want to go to the same level. And a lot of people aren't ready to go to the same level right now, but it's also set very clearly for the universe what I want next and how much better it's going to be and how clear that communication is and how all these things that I've now been able to see that I consider codependence, narcissism, loving outside yourself, etc., and ultimately self-loving myself. I've gone so full circle. I said I weighed 265 pounds at one point in my life. I hated my body, and I was told my whole life that I needed to diet. I started dieting at 12 years old with my mother. But I wear size large shirts. I wear size 36 pants. I'm not overweight compared to the population. So I look at it, and how all the self-love was not there. So I judged myself. I said I was bad. There was something wrong with me, etc. But I'm polished now. I'm like, this all served me in, you can look back at it and call it vomit at some points, but it taught me what I don't want, and it made it really clear what I do want. So what in your life hasn't been working out that you can now look a little farther past it and say, okay, I needed that dark night of the soul. I needed to be smashed open. I needed to see the worst in people. I needed to see the worst in me, and then climb out and say, no, I don't deserve that anymore. I don't need somebody that hits me or hurts me or wants... or doesn't want sexuality, has a trauma in your life, and doesn't even see you as a sexual being. That was my past. And it was hard, but I had to make a choice. It wasn't like I'm going to do this and hurt someone else in doing it. No, I'm going to be integral and honest and direct and other things. And now in that life review, I'm like, I love what I see. Do you love what you see? Can you see all the things that happened and say, oh, this was awful and what a waste of time? Or can you see how it polished you? You were in the rock polisher all day long with all those little sands and grits and all this kind of shit just wearing you down until the stuff that's going to be sturdy and stick around is at the surface. That's what we've been going through. So in your life review, what are you sad about? And I'll tell you, there's going to be a reframe that's going to tell you that sadness was actually you helping you become different, exposing those rough edges that were maybe created by parents, by societal conditioning, by past traumas, by whatever, and they formed you and they created a foundation of self-love, of trusting yourself, of standing in resilience to whatever shows up. And then eventually one day you get to this point of self-mastery and you say, holy fuck, I've been through every tornado and storm and cried and vomited and whatever. And now I can see every one of those things is divine in some way. And if you can't see it, trust me, it's going to show up. But eventually you just accept it and say, frick, that was the only way I could have learned that. Holy shit, that was crazy. But we're getting at this life review space where we just have to acknowledge our self-worth. We have to acknowledge that we're amazing underneath and we're a polished gem right now. And those people that are meant to show up that are also polished gems, and we're not going to have this twin flame bullshit where you're just tearing each other apart and scared and running and all this kind of stuff. We're going to find partners that have already done the work and are walking in the world, and they're teachers and they're showing other people the way. And you're going to find people that align with you perfectly, want the same things, do not have all the traumas, do not have all the undisclosed bits. Because the people that are at this level, the people that have done this, that are seeing their lives like this right now, are the gold right now. And there's lots more gold going to show up. We're going to have to teach some of them. We're going to have to show them the way. We're going to have to make relationships. We're going to have to make new ways of seeing them and seeing each other. And they're going to take that example, and it's going to be amazing for this world. So if you're feeling battered, if you're feeling like this has been hell and that you fucking hit every step on the way down with your forehead, I did too. But there's a purpose. And you just can't see it right now. And if you can't see it, I'd be more than happy to sit down and help people reframe. But if you can't see it just yet, it's coming. And it's going to show you your gold. And I see gold in all these people, these smiles, the people that are loving things and putting on my timeline. These are the people that are at this state, and they're now trying to see that they're purified gold. And we're just firming up, and the end of the process of creating us and purifying us is now completing, and magic's happening. So, is magic happening in your life? I got to stir my supper stuff or else it's going to burn, but you're ready. I see it. I'm so happy to be around these people. I'm so happy to see integral people. I'm so happy to see people that are smiling, that are ready for more. And they don't know even how to get there or what's the next step going to be. But I'm going to tell you, you did the work. And we cleaned off all the hard edges, and we're going to be gold to somebody else. And I trust that firmly. I know that person's in my heart. She's just waiting. Or maybe she's cleaning up her stuff, or maybe I got a little bit more to clean up or whatever, but those people are in our plan. They're on our path. And just by doing this work, we don't have to do anything to attract them. We just have to be ourselves and be that vibration. And when we're ready, the magnets are going to snap together. And it's going to be amazing. I feel it's imminent for all of us. So I love you. Take a look at your life. Look at these things, see it from a new perspective. You may have said it was pretty awful for a long time, but I think you're now seeing something different. And there's some gold underneath polishing off. So take a little cloth and just rub your forearm, rub your forehead, and see if it polishes and shines up. I love you. Have a good day. Keep smiling. You got this. You're amazing. All of you. Thank you.